All right, lads, welcome back to another episode of Who's Got the Ball. Up to 65 episodes now. How you feeling about that, Shane?
Good. We've all almost done as many episodes as there's been NBA games played by most teams this year, which is a bit mad when you think about it. But like, I still love coming on doing it every week. Loving the support. There's our TikToks are going mental at the moment. Obviously, posting every day is helping. One of them got over 1,000 views there during the week, which was great to see as well. So we really do appreciate the support wherever it's coming from, and let's just keep it up.
Yeah. No, we appreciate everybody who interacts with everything. And if you do not follow us on social media, if you have any social medias accounts, give us a follow because we do, like Shane said, post every day at least something to get the conversation going. So we'd love to hear from you in the comments and hear what your thoughts are, if you agree with us or anything else that you think or you'd want to see in the future. We won't dwell too much on this intro. We usually have a bit of a chat, but this episode was packed. There's a lot to get through, so let's just jump straight into it. What you're going to hear. First of all, Michael joins, which is always a good time. We talked about teams that could boom or bust in the NBA right now. Who's going to climb up the ladder? Who's going to go down before the playoffs start? Then we moved on to the Lakers, who Michael has been wanting to rant about for quite a long time, so he got his chance. You'll love that one. DeAndre Ayton, please cover your ears if you're
Yeah.
listening. We moved from that then into football, which we had a couple of good chats. One was about our performance of the weekend being Everton, and the fact they beat Newcastle led us into a chat about Eddie Howe's future there and what he can do to help them in the long term or whether he's the right guy. And then we talked about the current state of football. And Shane put it very well when he just said, is football just crap now? Because there's been a lot of pointless games, a lot of weird tactics, and a lot of hard to watch wrestling matches in the penalty box lately. So we gave our thoughts on that before quickly running through our Champions League brackets all the way up to the final. Then we did Gan Seans as usual, gave our underdog picks. Then we moved on to the NFL, talked about whatever transactions have gone down, including the two big trades of the last few days, our thoughts there before we move into free agency next week, where we'll have a hell of a lot more to talk about.
Mm.
And then we wrapped up on the power rankings. So listen the whole way to the end. You'll hear our power rankings, you'll hear all the crazy changes we made. So let's get straight into it. All right, so let's start with the NBA this week. We've got Michael back again. 1 week off, 1 week on. Michael is living the dream out here doing part time, but he's giving the takes hot when he comes in. So he needs that time to dwell on it. And this week he's got two more juicy topics for us. So, Michael, first of all, how are you? Welcome back. And second of all, lead us into your first topic.
Thank you very much. It's always a pleasure to be back. I'm getting into the just one thing now. Writing up my we're keeping it mild so far, but the spicy takes will come as the season leads on into the end. So to start us off, this topic was actually something I had the last time I was here. We decided to expand it out to a whole own section. So after the All-Star break, normally the top 8 seeds are the same teams going into the playoffs. So upon looking into this, I have all of this because I prefer physical data for some reason. And I realized there's always one team that either surges up the ranking or just busts and goes completely out of the playoffs. So with the seeding being so close this year, and a lot of drama stirring into our last 20 games, I want you guys to give me your best prediction on which team is either going to boom up and make it into the playoffs from the fringes or absolutely bust and might go into the play-ins and then just lose.
Okay. I'll throw it to you first, Shane, because I'm going to go off when I go. So I want to let you speak first.
Okay, well, I'm going with the Hornets as a climber. Even since before the All Star break, they've just been on this run of form that has come out of absolutely nowhere. They're up now to 32 and 31, so they're above 500. They're in the ninth seed. And with the form they're on, I can see them pushing on a bit further up to that seventh or eighth seed and not have to worry about it playing. Since I don't know where it came from. At one point, they were 9-1 across 10 games heading into the All Star break, and they've just continued that at the other side. Absolutely dismantled the Celtics the other night as well. 118, 89 or something like that. So, it was,
Yeah, they did. You're right. You have it
yeah,
exactly.
yeah, that was like, where did that come from? Like, it's another one that is just like this Hornets team were just so unserious. And all of a sudden, they've just become a very serious basketball team. Lamella Ball looks like the Lamella Ball we saw before. Everything about him at the moment is a really fun watch as well. I think they're going to keep going. going to push into that top eight, and they might actually be a problem for someone in a playoff series as well.
Yeah, I agree with you, actually. I had one team that's going to sink. I'll come back to that, but I had the Hornets as a team that's going to climb. I agree with that because I looked at how they played lately and the teams they beat, like beating the Hawks who are around them, beating the Bulls well. Like they beat bad teams well. They beat the Blazers quite nicely. Like you mentioned, they beat the Celtics very, very nicely. So they're a team that not only beat the teams around them, but they go up above their weight too, it seems, and they challenge other teams. Like they only lose to the Cavs by 5. And then I looked at kind of how far back they are, and they're only 2.5 games back really from that 6 seed spot.
Mm.
So it's not too far considering how they've been playing lately. And then you look at the games they have to play. Like Suns and Blazers are both around their level. Kings, they should beat them. The Spurs is a challenge. Heat, Magic, Grizzlies, all around their level. Kings again, which is easy. Like these are all games that are winnable for them. Like they could go through that 8 game stretch, 9 game stretch, and they could win 8, 9 games. Like you wouldn't be surprised if they won every single one of those or just drop one or maybe two. So I agree that they are a team that are going to climb up the board because they've already done it, and I think they're just going to continue to do it. Even though they did hit a little road bump not so long ago, they got over that, and now they're back on it again. So
Yeah, they're back on another 6 game winning run again now.
mhm.
After you said that little speed bump, and they're right back on the horse again. Just going to keep mixing metaphors here, man. But I don't see how they don't get into the top eight. I will at this point. I'd be very surprised if they don't get into the top eight, and they'll be a problem for anyone they play because they just play fun basketball. They all clearly enjoy playing with each other as well, which is always a massive thing as well. For like a team that were so unfancied to be doing what they're doing now is just I can't think of too many in the recent past that have done what they're doing where you came from completely out of nowhere and have just decided to be an actual serious basketball team.
Yeah, I agree. What do you think on the Hornets, Michael? Did you have anybody else to climb?
The Hornets, I really wanted to go with the Hornets, but I felt like everyone was going with. I feel like the biggest question is this like a Hawks, kind of surge for the Hornets? Are we going to see like a second round exit and then next year they're back to doing nothing? Or like is this LaMelo like actually turning the corner and playing winning basketball and contributing? I don't even know what that might be different than what they're doing now, or if he's figured it out and they are clicking on all cylinders. I'm so scared to say that this is sustainable for the Hornets. Out of every team, like if it was almost any other team other than, the Nets or the Wizards, I'd feel more confident. But for me personally, my team to surge is the Hawks. And I don't know why I still like them.
I knew you were going to come on
Like,
this.
I'll tell you why I think, like, I wanted to go with something different. I was looking at the West and I don't really feel it. The Hawks I feel good about. Now, Jonathan Kaminga is out again, unfortunately. Ignore that. He's coming back soon. Okay, guys. But I actually really like this team, and I don't think they're going to be, again, with the Pelicans pick, they don't care about what happens this season. They're going to keep competing as hard as they can. And I feel like the Sixers are slipping. I can't lie. I I've been off them since the McCain trade. I've literally refused to talk about them all year because I didn't want to get clipped on saying something outrageous, which I'm so happy about now because I mean, we're looking at our team now and we're like, "Oh god, if only we had, another ball handler and someone else who's pretty good at shooting." And we're asking Quentin Grimes to do it and he can't. He cannot. Okay? As much as we thought he was great at the end of last season, we found out that it was a flash in the pan. So, back to what I was saying, with Dyson Daniels, Jalen Johnson, they have Corey Kispert, who's had a couple of huge shooting games for them. James has said that was a wonderful pickup, and he was absolutely right. Onyeka Okongwu is playing out of his damn mind over the last 3 weeks. This team might make some noise. I mean, I could see the Heat possibly falling a little bit as well. they don't seem to have the same momentum as they had at the start of the season, where they were using that new offensive system. It seems like teams have kind of figured them out. So that's kind of my pick. But you said you had one for busting, James.
Yeah.
Pause.
I that's what you were doing over the Hawks just 2 seconds ago. And it has been the same since the start of the season. The parallels, though, like, but I like that Hornets Hawks. Before I go on, I like that Hornets Hawks parallel you drew with. Could they be just like a team that goes back to what they were before? The reason I think they won't is because of Con Knipple. Like, you look at the Hawks team, and at that time they had Trey Young. That's a parallel to LaMelo. Kind of unserious, can play well if he wants to, but most of the time he's just messing around. And then you have the injury prone star in Jalen Johnson, who could translate maybe to Brandon Miller. And then the Hawks did not ever have that Con Knipple guy that they just brought in, and he looks now like the rookie of the year when people didn't expect him to be this good. He just plays smart basketball, and the others had to adapt. So that would be my take on why the Hornets may not fall into that Hawks reset after a good year. But my bust is the Sixers. I'm sorry, they're gonna slip. Whether that's gonna be down, like I would. You mentioned the Hawks, how they're playing. They're getting wins. The Hornets are getting wins. The Magic are iffy. The Heat are iffy. So whether the Sixers fall all the way down or just down a couple of spots, they're definitely going to fall into the play-in. There's no way they stay in the top six because Embiid, he's either going to get at least one more small injury or he's going to continue with this oblique injury that he has right now. VJ has a back issue, which is never good. PG is still out until we play the Thunder. And before we play the Thunder, we've got the Hawks, Cavs, Pistons, Blazers, Nuggets. All these are games that we're going to lose by 10, 15, 20, 30 points because we're just not good enough. Unless Joel plays, then we might win a few of those. But as I said, he's got injury issues. So I think we could slip as far as 10th, to be honest, but I don't think we will, but I wouldn't be surprised if we did. And I think the Sixers are going to be the team that slide down this board. And the Raptors were an intriguing one to look at, but when you look at the teams they lost to, it was OKC, Pistons, T-Wolves, and Spurs. So it's not like they're losing to bad teams like the Sixers are. So yeah, I'm going to go with the Sixers. I'm sick of what they've done, trading away Jared McCain. He's had double the amount of points as Grimes since that trade. It's just embarrassing what they did with this team, even when Embiid was begging for reinforcements. So now I don't blame him for not playing through injuries because he asked for more reinforcements. They didn't give them to him. Last night, barely beat the Jazz by 3. Watching Tyrese Martin minutes, like I'm just sick of this team, and they're gonna slide for sure.
What was the reason behind the Jared McCain trade? Because it didn't make sense to me on paper. Clearly, it doesn't make sense to either V either. Like, what was the like the
He
feeling
wasn't
around it?
playing.
Like, if,
He wasn't playing many minutes since he came back from injury, but he looked like he was ramping up. It was more
yeah,
a coach's thing. I think it was like Nurse wasn't fully sold on him. He preferred to play Grimes and VJ more minutes because of their defensive ability, and he's high on defense. I think that it's a basically lack of foresight or ability to look into the future by the front office because they went with what one coach thinks when we most likely will have another coach in the next year or 18 months because Nurse cannot draw up offense to save his life. So I think that was why they went with the coach's opinion.
And
that's
also,
mental.
Josh Harris wanted to duck the luxury tax.
Yeah, but we already had ducked it, like we already had.
Yeah.
So that's why it makes even less sense. Yeah, really sickening. But does anybody else have a team to bust before we off? Okay. Before we
Yeah,
go on
I
to the
have
second
one
point.
quick one before we move on. I think the Warriors are having a really strange season, and I can see them falling even out of the play-in picture at this stage. Steph is out injured. Obviously, Jimmy Butler's out for the year. They're very uninspiring, if you ask me. Even like their form, they're 4-6 in their last 10, 30, 31 and 30 across the season. So they're just about over that 500. I think they will drop below 500 before the season finishes, and I think they'll finish outside the top 10.
Well, I don't think they can finish outside the top 10 because the Grizzlies are never going to catch it. so they're not going to fall outside the top 10.
No.
Grizzlies are what, 8 games back?
Yeah, the Grizzlies are
No
Okay,
chance.
fair
so
enough.
far back. I just
Okay,
noticed as well.
yeah,
I was going to say,
they'll be in the play-in, so they won't get playoff. They will get play-in, and even then, I don't know what they do then. I just don't want the Rockets to play in because they always manage to beat the Rockets.
Well, with no Steph, they're absolutely fecked, and I think
Garbage.
his knee injury is one that he doesn't even know, because it's like runner's knee. There's swelling in his knee, so he doesn't know when it's going to come and go. So yeah, that's not good.
yeah, the Warriors. I was gonna say them for my team to slip, but I had a feeling James was gonna do the Sixers, so I said, you know what, I'll leave it to him to talk. But I mean, the Warriors. It's just sad. I mean, can we talk about Kristaps Porzingis? We knew about this mystery illness 2 years ago. In what world did you think trading for him was going to change that? Because he wasn't playing in Atlanta, and then you traded for him, and like I thought it was more a salary dump, but then everybody who's talking about it in the Warriors front office is like, he's
Yeah,
going to be a great addition to the team. We can't wait for him to make a playoff push with him. He's not playing. He
they
hasn't
still
played.
said that he's one for the one that they're not just having him as a rental. That's what they just said. Well, what else is he then? Because why would you sign him long term?
It's sad what's happened with the Warriors, but I wanted to leave my ranting for one team, which is our second topic today. So we're finally talking about the Lakers. We kind of, we talk about different teams every now and then. I like to keep it interesting, but we're talking about the big show, okay? With their big three finally back on the court, the results have been polarizing. But regardless of your opinion on this team, they're still only 2 games behind the Rockets, who are sitting at the 3 seed. So, do you feel like the Lakers are overachieving, underachieving, or just exactly where they should be?
I think they're underachieving because of the team they built. Like, I think they could have built a way better team around Luca, and they would be achieving a lot more right now. They're achieving exactly what their roster is built to do. Actually, overachieving, I would say, but they're underachieving in the potential that they're in such a big market. They could have got better names if they followed through on that Mark Williams trade. Things would be way different.
Mm.
You're stuck with DeAndre Ayton right now, who last week is saying they're trying to make me like Clint Capella. I'm not Clint Capella. No, you're not. You're probably half the player Clint Capella is. So let's get that one straight. He needs to stay away from the team. I would play Jackson Hayes 40 minutes not to play DeAndre Ayton, and that shows how bad DeAndre Ayton is. It was just a disaster class in roster management and what they built. Luca, he's insufferable to watch lately. All he does is complain. He doesn't play defense. If one thing doesn't go his way, he'll argue with the rest for the next 5 possessions and not play defense. Yeah, they're just a horrible team to watch, and I predicted them to get blown out last year in the first round when nobody was doing it, and this time I'm predicting it again because I don't like them. I don't like the way they carry themselves, the players, the way they speak, the arrogance they have for no reason. They have the worst record with teams against teams over 500 in the top 6 in the West. That's not going to cut it. You're going to have to play one of those teams in the playoffs, and they're going to beat you 4-0.
Yeah, I agree with James. I just put them down as achieving. So they're not underachieving or overachieving. They're achieving with what they have. But as James said, they could have done so much more after they traded Luca and made this a team that was up there challenging the Thunder, challenging the Spurs, ahead of the Rockets. But they just haven't. And now Luca's out there, he's doing 32.4 points per game. But as James said, he's impossible to watch at the moment. The Lakers are really hard to watch. It's not the Lakers of 3 or 4 years ago that went out and played fun basketball. This is the Lakers team that just go out and I'm just going to call it they play ball because the basket they've taken the fun out of it a small bit and they're like their net rating is zero plus 0.3, but since the 1st of March they're minus 0.1. Like this is since they're all kind of coming out in the media, as you said, DeAndre Ayton saying they want him to be Clint Capella. You're never going to be that. Unlucky. Luca just complaining left, right, and centre. LeBron is just. I think it's time for him to maybe pack it in now. I know he's still putting up his numbers now and then, but it's time for him to let the new guard kind of take over. If that means he moves on to another team, or
Yeah,
he finally hangs up the boots or whatever they call it in the basketball, and just hangs up something and just hacks it in. I think at 37 and 24, if they had done what they should be doing, they should be well over 40 wins. But they're achieving with the rubbish they've managed to put together.
Yeah, that's literally exactly how I feel about it. Is just like they are just so middling for me.
Yeah.
And yet, my answer for this question is they're overachieving. Like I don't know, James. You kind of said that you felt like they're exactly where they're built. I think this roster is horrific. Okay, we did the LeBron James with like 6 ball handlers next to him 4 years ago, 5 years ago. And guess what? It didn't work. And then you traded everybody for AD. So now you have LeBron James, you have Luka Doncic, whose hero is LeBron James, and then you have Austin Reeves, who, guess what, plays like a mini LeBron James. And then you have around him, like they have salvaged some pieces where like love Rui Hachimura, and then Vanderbilt and Marcus Smart are really nice pieces around that. But I
Marcus Smart
think,
has been good for them.
yeah, and I think the biggest, and this is the thing about DeAndre Ayton talking. Hey, bud, you started talking at the worst time possible, because the biggest hole in this team is the center position. 2 years ago, the Lakers, nobody wanted Jackson Hayes. Nobody entertained the thought of having Jackson Hayes on their team. He was caught outside his ex-girlfriend's house holding a shovel when he was getting arrested. Nobody wanted him. He was too much to deal with, and he couldn't play on the court. Then they pick up DeAndre Ayton. On paper, great pickup. Here's a list of like 45 second like non-starting centers in the league that I would rather have over DeAndre Ayton. They can't even play him over 25 minutes a game. It's unable, like it's literally not possible for them to do it. They'd rather keep playing like Jackson Hayes and LeBron at small ball 5.
Give
I
us
mean,
the funniest name on that list.
the funniest name on this list. Let me look at
Reed
this.
Shepherd.
Reed Shepherd at center. Honestly, he had 4 blocks or something the other game. Like, I'm going down this list. I'd rather have Jaden McDaniels as my center for the whole season. I'd rather have Adam Bona on this team as a center.
Okay.
Paul Reed. Give me Mo Wagner. Give me Jock Landale. Jericho Sims from the Bucks. Like,
Don't. I won't have anyone
understands.
slander Jock Landale. He's a Rockets legend. Leave
He's
him
probably the
alone.
best name you listed there.
He actually probably is. Even Trenton Watford, I'd rather have at the 5.
Still.
Like, I don't think you understand that this guy is 7'4". Like, okay, he's not 7'4", but like he's 7 foot. He's huge, and he's never averaged like over 6 rebounds or 7 rebounds in his career. I mean, Clint Capella for 6 years straight was just averaging a double-double.
Yeah, rebound
with
machine with the
2
Hawks.
blocks, 4 offensive rebounds on the second best team in the league that was competing against the Golden State Warriors. And it wasn't his fault because he didn't shoot 1 3 out of the 27 that they missed. So, like, DeAndre Ayton, you might have just cost yourself a job for next season, because nobody wants to deal with this. JJ Redick is massaging every little minute he can out of you. I'm gonna step off. I'm gonna step off and let someone else talk. I need to
DeAndre
control
Ayton,
myself.
across his career, he's averaged 10.5 rebounds. That's not including this season now. That's up to the end of last season with Portland. He averages 10.5 rebounds per game and
Okay.
14.4 points per game. But he's not doing that this year. He's nowhere near that level this year.
Just there. That's my bad.
So,
but still, the point
yeah,
still
no, I
stands.
agree. Yeah.
We can see what he's done, like with our eyes in every single game, and his reluctance. Like, if you trend that over time as well, the worst is this season. The third worst was last season. Like, it's going down. So,
and he's still only 27. So how does that make sense? He should be coming into his prime. He should be averaging a double-double religiously across the season, 27, 28, 29 years old.
Yeah,
And if anything, he's getting
he's
worse
making
and
hard work
worse.
of it.
And he'll be out of the league at 30.
Yeah. Well, with that
Yeah.
attitude, like Michael said, like it's um it's a Ben Simmons esque way of carrying yourself,
Yeah.
and see nobody wants him, and he was picking up smaller deals until it's fizzled out, and this is the same. He's only got like 8 million this year. Like the Lakers had to do it because they had no option at center, but they waited so late to do it that it didn't. Like if they moved way earlier, like I said, they would have had so many options. But they went with him last minute, nothing really else going. They paid him a little bit of money because nobody else wanted him. Yeah, I think the Lakers are unserious, and LeBron is going to leave them. I think next season, definitely, probably end up with the Warriors because that's something they're going to do,
Yeah.
and it's just going to be fun to watch him and Steph next season. But they're not going to be a serious team either. So yeah, I think we'll leave it there. Hit on the Lakers pretty hard, which is Michael has been holding on to that one for a while, and hit our boom and bust team. So appreciate you coming on once again, Michael, and we will have you again in 2 weeks for your next round of takes.
Thank you so much. Always a pleasure.
Right, so Everton are beginning to make a push for Europe by the looks of it. 2 wins on the bounce. They were particularly impressive in their 3-2-1 against Newcastle. I know we've got a game since then that they've played beaten Burnley, but like we're gonna go back and look at the best performance from last weekend, like we usually do, and that was the one that stood out to us. I think they took advantage of Newcastle's mistakes, and they were pegged back to 2-2 with only 8 minutes left, and straight away they were on the counter, and they won the ball back and got another goal. Now that was down to probably Newcastle's mistakes, but they did put the
Mm.
pressure on, and I think they were a lot different with their finishing product than they were a week before against United, where I thought they were really really poor in that aspect and kind of a bit standoffish at times. Whereas in this game, they really took it to Newcastle and they got the 3 points as a reward. And then, as I said, went to beat Burnley. So 6 points picked up is massive for them at this time, and they're sitting in eighth, just a point behind Brentford in seventh.
Yeah. If Everton's home form matched their away form, they'd honestly be in the top four at the moment. They've 24 points away from home, which is the same as City. It's the third best in the league. They just hate playing at home. And I think it's the same thing happens to every team that goes into a new stadium. They kind of struggle for the first year, maybe struggle the first 2 years. They might never get used to it. But if they do get used to it and they can keep up this away form as well, then they could start pushing for Europe on a regular basis. 213 to 1.03 in XG away at Newcastle is really good going for an Everton team that are they're very unfancied. They had three big chances to one as well, scored three goals, so that lines up too. Newcastle just didn't really get going. Even as you said, when they got it back to 2-2, there was only one team. If there was a winner in it, it was still going to be Everton. They somehow never took the momentum of getting back to 2-2 and bringing the crowd on side. It's just kind of very Newcastle this year. It's what they've done when they play in Europe, and I'll say this until Eddie Howe eventually loses his job in the summer. He's not a manager that can do this Champions League run things, and I just think that this is just another shining example. Because then they go off and they beat United then in midweek after losing to Everton. But it's two Premier League games in a row. He can probably do that. He doesn't seem to be able to manage the Champions League, the high of playing the Champions League and bring it back to the Premier League level. And this was almost a perfect example of why I don't think Eddie Howe has a job next season. Well, not at Newcastle anyway.
Yeah, we've touched on that a lot, and I think it's interesting to look at it now after the end of this bad run of form. I will say a funny thing about Everton moving into the Hill Dickinson is that after the first few games they played really well and all the fans loved it, loved the new stadium, and now they've been awful there and now they all hate it. So
Yeah,
it's like
very Everton.
once they start winning again there, they'll like it. But I think they're definitely on the cusp of getting back into Europe, which that would be interesting to see. And they need to keep playing like they have been in the last few games, rather than the crap that they were playing against United. But on
Yeah.
Eddie Howe, that was three home losses in a row for the first time, like of him managing Newcastle, and I think they made too many mistakes in that game that were characteristic of how they've played this season. Just goalkeeping mistakes, losing the ball when they didn't need to, poor passing, And then they dropped Nick Pope against United, and Ramsdale has a brilliant game, made some great saves, helped them on their way to get the win, which they thoroughly deserved, even though they only had 10 men. They wanted it more, they fought harder for it. And that's the thing, like fighting hard and wanting it more will get you there a lot of the time against a team that it had been coming for United. They hadn't lost in the league since the 21st of December. They were eventually going to get complacent, and it was kind of bad timing that it did at the moment where you could capitalize and pull further away in third. But that was always going to come. And Newcastle they smelled the blood in the water, and they went after United. And they've always been able to do that. They've had that doggedness about them, but it's not about being dogged every single week. It's about playing football, and it's not about borderline getting 3 red cards in that game. The Ramsey one probably shouldn't have been. Byrne was on the cusp with his elbow in Shaw's
Should have
face,
been.
and Joe Linton clapping sarcastically for the ref should
Mm.
have been. So you can't continuously do that and expect to get results. I think Howe has done a superb job there. And when they have only one game a week or a cup game and a Premier League game, it always works because that doggedness outshines these other English teams who play a certain way, and it's getting more physical lately, which is something we'll get on to now in a few minutes. But the Champions League is a different beast. There's beautiful football being played by teams from all over. You look at Bodo Glimt, like,
Mm.
would you fancy Newcastle against them right now? I'm not sure that doggedness is going to get you there unless you're fully organized. So I think how he has hit his peak. He's shown a few times now that he can't manage this Europe and Premier League run, and I think the fact that they beat United with 10 men is the perfect thing to spring you forward and to use that as something to get a run of form. But then you look at the games they have to play: City away in the FA Cup, 2 Barca games sandwiched in between those is a game against Chelsea away, and then right after that is a Sunderland derby. So that's all before the international break. If they go on a bad run there, I don't know how survives. Maybe since he's been there so long, they do him the solid of leaving him until the end of the season. But if they get through this run with a lot of losses, he'll be done in the summer.
Yeah, I don't think they will fire him now at this stage. I don't think anyone, bar maybe Spurs, is going to fire their manager between now and the end of the season, because it's just like, what's the point? There's 10 games left. Why are you bringing in a caretaker, bringing in someone who might want to just tear everything up and throw it apart for 10 games left? Just do it the third week of May when it's all said and done, the parades have been done, all that, then say, okay, thanks very much, Eddie. See you later. Like, they're always talking about, oh, we're being held back by PSR. Like, I understand that they can't spend the billions and billions that they have in their back pocket, but they still spent 278 million in the summer
Yeah,
on nothing. Like, there's nothing there that you can write home about. Like, Ramsey
I mean
isn't
PSR
like
didn't force them to buy Ramsey for that much money
no,
or
yeah, that's
Voltamata
exactly what
for
I'm
70
saying.
or
Like,
80 million.
yeah, like if Fultamata will be a good player, he's not the finished article. He wasn't the kind of Isak replacement they thought he was going to be. He was never going to come in and score 20 or 25 league goals. And now, the last time he played, they played him in midfield. Joe, and it's just kind of it's decisions like that. And the way they've thrown money around Langa, another terrible bit of business. Vissa, okay, he got injured. That's not their fault. But again, you're spending that much. Like, they went all out for so long for a 29-year-old and spent that much money on a 29-year-old. There was better options out there you could have gotten. I'm not saying he's not a good player. I think on his day he's as good as anyone in the league. But if this is the way you were kind of like building your future, signing a 29-year-old and Anthony Elanga was never going to go anywhere. And every time they're in the Champions League, the next season they fall off the way they have this year. Next year they could very easily be back fighting for a Champions League place again, because as you said, one game a week, they're a different team. But Eddie Howe can't be the manager going into that season again, or it's literally just Groundhog Day over and over again for Newcastle. Oh, great, we qualified for the Champions League, now we're 12th. Like, it's just it's a nonsense way of doing things. And this is a club that massive fan base. Their stadium is incredible. The noise they make when it comes to the television is actually outrageous at times. That game last night when the Anthony Gordon penalty went in, sorry, well, his penalty as well, but the Osler goal, my TV nearly burst, like, with the noise that was coming out of from that stadium. But Eddie Howe is not the man that's going to take you on to push for winning a Champions League or anything like that. I think this at the end of the season he has to go. I'm surprised he lasted 6 months. He's now lasted, what is it, 4 years maybe? and he has done a really, really good job. But it is time for him to move on and get someone that can handle the transfer market for stars, sign players, spend your money better, and then when you are in the Champions League, can actually manage to do the two big games in a week because he's shown over and over again he can't do it.
Yeah.
Sorry, that was a bit of a rant. I can't believe I spoke for that long.
No, you're good. I agree with a lot of the points you made. I think they did invest poorly when they could have invested a lot better. And some of these guys might be good. Like you might get something good out of Altmaier in the future. But like you said, Wissa has missed a lot of time through injury, and you spent that much on him. You could have chased somebody else in the meantime and not be so wedded to him when you knew Brentford had you over a barrel. And you mentioned the size of the fan base and the stadium, and one thing I'll say on top of that is the ownership. The ownership has really high expectations. They're pumping money into the team. So I think it could be trouble as well if some of the rumors are true that they're open to not Newcastle, but the players like Tonali and Bruno Guimaraes are open to leaving, because they're the heartbeat of the team. So if they do leave, I don't know where they go from there. They definitely need a new manager, and I don't know if this is fair or accurate, but I'm not sure how lasts as long if he's not English. I think he did get some bit more leeway because of that. I think the media would have went harder on him,
Yeah.
and also this fact that he was the darling, the next possible England manager for so long. The media was always bigging him up, so I think that was a little bit of a save on his part too.
Yeah, it seems to be only me that has been gunning for him for the last 18 months. Like, you don't see it anywhere saying this has to be the Eddie Howe, this has to be the end of Eddie Howe, except me coming on here for the last 65 episodes, and every chance I get, it's not Arsenal I'm blasting, it's Newcastle. And I agree with you. I think he's gotten away with it for so long because he's English. Everyone loves him. His assistant manager gets more slack than he does, and fair enough, he absolutely deserves it as well. But I think he kind of like Eddie almost hides behind him, not in the literal sense. He's not literally going out there and, oh, Jason, go out and take the heat there, but he gets away with a lot more because his assistant manager is such a clown that I think it has to come to roost this summer. They have to, and they have to do it early. They can't be doing like they can't hold on to him till the middle of June and then say, "Oh look, Giambi Alonso has said he'll come here," because then it's too late for him to make signings. You have a month, then you're into pre-season, middle of a World Cup. They have to do it the end of May. Say, Eddie, thank you so much, but this is the end of the road. We have to do it here. Give him his payoff. I don't care what it is. It can't be that much, and then just move on and say, okay, this is our new manager. This is his idea. I'd be surprised if they do manage to hold on to Tonali and Bruno again without Champions League. I think they're two of the best midfielders in the league.
Hmm.
Tonali in particular, since he came back from that ban, he's absolutely incredible to watch. I think he'd be a great signing for City and Arsenal, unfortunately, I think, but I don't think they will sign him, but I think he'd fit it in so well with either of those teams.
I saw reports
Yeah,
already that United had held some talks with his people and they'd scouted him for a few years, so
yeah.
that's a possibility. I
Would
would
make
love
sense
him.
there as well. And then Bruno, I'd love to see Bruno at Liverpool. I don't think it would happen. I think he's too old for Liverpool's owners to sign now. I think he's 28 or 29. But I think he's an absolutely incredible player as well.
Yeah, I agree. We teased it a little bit before when we were talking about the physicality of the league, but the question Shane posed is just straight up: is football crap? Is it just getting kind of like harder to watch, less enjoyable? All those thoughts come to mind. But since it was your topic, I'll let you lead in with what your thoughts are on this.
I think it's horrific. The two main points I want to talk about are the fact that no team seems to know how to attack from open play is mad. And the refereeing this season in particular, whatever it is, has just gone. It's beyond belief how bad it is. I texted you this the other day. So 260 set piece goals as of the weekend just gone. I know there was another couple in midweek. I don't know how many there were, and I didn't want to try and do the math again because this is grand even. 25% of all goals scored across the 281 games that were played up until the weekend. 260 set piece goals. Like, this can't be the way it goes. Like, this can't be the product the Premier League are trying to sell if they're saying it's the best league in the world and a quarter of the goals are coming from set pieces. It It's just, it takes so much time out of the games. The wrestling that they're getting away with in the box this season is nothing I've ever seen before. It's like you can literally have a boxing match in a 6 yard box until that ball is kicked. And then we'll just give a free out or we let Arsenal score a goal. And that's the way it's been all year. I know, like, the part on no team knows how to attack outside of set pieces. Liverpool scored 7 goals in a row from set pieces up until Jeremy Frimpong forced an own goal against West Ham. That's not the football I want to sit down and watch. I said to you before we came on here that I came out of that Liverpool game more confused. I'd never seen such an unconvincing 5-2 win. They were 3-0 up at half time, all 3 goals from corners. Outside of that, they did not look like they were going to score from open play. And it's not just them. Arsenal last night against Brighton, 0.53 XG across the 90 minutes. The goal they scored was a fluke. It came in, it was a cross in, hit the keeper's leg and went in. Then, Jesus, don't give me. They took 30 minutes and 51
Yeah,
seconds out of that game last night, waiting to get the
longest.
ball back into play from corners, set pieces. David Raya going down injured 3 times. I know they're probably going to win the league now, which drives me insane. How have we let a team like this just go and walk away with the league? A team who has the most corner goals in any league season, up there with Oldham and someone else. I can't remember who the other one was, but it was 2 teams that got relegated the season they did it. They scored that many goals from set pieces. No team in the league knows how to attack from open play. It's such a hard watch. The inconsistencies in refereeing. So Man City got a penalty for Liverpool for the same thing Haaland didn't get a penalty for against Forest last night. Knocked it around the keeper. Keeper takes her out. It's a penalty 10 times out of 10. No penalty last night. Penalty against Liverpool. The Gabriel foul by Colin in that Spurs game. That's happened, I'd say, 6 times since and hasn't been penalised. It's because Gabriel throws his arms up and goes down.
Yeah,
I'm not even going to talk about the one from Van Dijk. That wasn't a foul, but like what Ekitike did to Christian Romero was worse than what Colin Moani did to Gabriel, and we got a goal out of it. Um, there's so many examples. Jacob Ramsey booked for diving. Since when did they book people for diving again? Like, that's kind of something that kind of comes and goes every second week, it seems. They don't seem to do it until it's like, oh, I'll do it now. The time wasting, not just the 30 minutes last night, all season, from throw-ins, Brentford, Bournemouth, Arsenal, Liverpool, whoever it is, shouldn't be taking you 30 seconds to get a throw-in back into play. Corners, we mentioned that. That Everton United game, I'm going to come back to it again. My God, that was the worst game of football I've seen in about 8 years. And I can't think of a single game. The United Brentford game, sorry, United Bournemouth game aside, no other game comes to mind that I would say, geez, that was really enjoyable. And that's not just Liverpool matches, that's across. I've watched a lot of games of football this season, and there hasn't been too many I came out of and said, that wasn't a waste of my time.
yeah,
And that United Everton game, I came out, I went into my phone and was like, I would really like those 2 hours back to go and cut the garden in the pitch darkness or something, because it was just an abysmal game of football to watch. And the whole season, it's been crap. And it's summarised by the fact that Arsenal are going to win the league by wasting time. Oh yeah, I'll let you go before I do a Michael on it. I just can't believe how bad it's gotten this year, and something has got to be done this summer to try and fix it, because it can't go on like this.
yeah. There has to be something done, but it's hard to imagine what they can do because, well, first of all, the first thing they can do is sort out the wrestling in the box because that is not football. That's the first thing and the main thing they need to do. But that doesn't eliminate the way that the game is played more recently because let's say they start by going right. Defensive player, the first game week of the season, if you're grabbing someone around the waist, straight away it's a penalty. Attacking player, if you do it, straight away blown up free out. You don't even take the corner. That's it. That starts something in the works, something getting solved. But it doesn't change the way that teams are being built now because they will come up with new ways to have set piece routines, corner routines, throw in routines where players move around in certain ways to block people off without actually using their hands. And that will continue the cycle of teams going with bigger, stronger players like Arsenal play 4 centre backs every single game
Mm.
because they want to win the game in the penalty box. They don't want to play football. Fabian Hertzler said it last night, and you could say it's sour grapes, but he was 100% right. You look at it in the return of XG to goals, I thought is interesting. Arsenal are fourth in XG with 50, but yet they have 59 goals. because they're scoring so many from set pieces and things where they're fouling players in the box or getting goals. Bournemouth and Brighton have 45.6 and 42.1 XG respectively, but they only have 44 and 38 goals. I brought them up because those two teams play nice football. They play
Yeah,
attacking football, they play direct, they want to play the game, but they're not getting the points for it. You get points for now playing physically and playing the way that the league has gone. And that's an issue beyond Arsenal. Arsenal built the team to win in the way that it needs to be won. They did it. They did the same thing that when City went down, they built a team with a lot of technical players, slick players that could come in and out for each other. They won so many times. They built the profiles. They had a big domineering midfielder in Yaya Toure that was able to work up and down. Right now, you don't need some of those profiles. You need big guys who, across your back line, you're playing four centre backs. Everton do it as well. A number of teams do it. Then you've got a defensive midfielder in Rice who is a good passer and a very good deliverer of the ball that sets you up from
unbelievable.
corners.
The only bit of praise I'll give him is he delivers one hell of a corner. Other than
Yeah.
that, I hate him. Continue.
And then you have, like, outside of that, you're trying to buy guys who are winning you. The idea with Gyökeres is that he was physical and he was strong and he was able to help. Didn't translate really into the Premier League. Kai Havertz isn't a proper striker. He's kind of more of an attacking midfielder. Could even be more defensive. But he's good in the box as well. So the whole thing was built towards this one goal, and they did it perfectly, and they're going to win the league for it. But it's horrendous to watch because they know they can get away with time wasting, wrestling, play acting, diving, because they've got away with it all season, and they'll continue to do so. And it's just taken away from the fact of watching good football. Like what they did against Spurs, okay, Kolo Muani's goal, that was a massive issue that shouldn't have been given as a foul. But Arsenal played some nice football in that game, so they can. They can if they want
Hmm.
to. But they don't want to do it against any team that's not absolutely useless like Spurs. There's too many times that teams don't want to play. They want to sit back for the majority of a game. They want to sit in a low block and they want to say to the other team, try and break me down. If you can't, we'll hit you on the break and we'll win, which is what Everton have done a lot. I have a list of teams here who do it. Wolves do it. Burnley do it. They attempt to do it. West Ham have done it now with Nuno. Forest do it. Spurs under Frank were doing it. Everton, it's their bread and butter. Palace do it. They have an alarmingly low amount of the ball. Villa do it for any big game. Sunderland do it every single week. Leeds do it by necessity. Frank does, or Farke doesn't even want to play that way, but they do it because they have to. And then the teams at the top are the teams with the better players because it's less about playing football and figuring out a way to break down systems like it used to be. It's more about who has the better individual players that can produce a moment of brilliance. And they're the teams that get to the top of the table. And it's not like, oh, we figured out how to play nice football, so we're up here now. No, it's we're big, we're bruisers, and then we have some players that can get us a nice one moment in a game that'll change it, like Saka. Last night not being a good example of that, but in general. So it's not a thing of all teams are equal and able to figure things out. It's either be physical and hope you can get a season where you get loads of counter attack goals like Forest last season and do really well, or just hope to get as many draws as you possibly can and stay in the league. So I don't know where it goes from here, but it's just completely on the downturn. And on your point of how many games have been good to watch, I think that Liverpool and City game, the 2-1, was quite a good game. The United and Bournemouth game was a good game. I enjoyed United and Arsenal. And then outside of that, the only other game I can remember that I enjoyed was in the Champions League because there've been so
The
many good
Fulham,
games there.
the Fulham City game, the 5-4 or whatever it was.
Oh yeah, that was
I didn't watch that, which why I didn't can obviously like that was obviously a good game of football. That was two teams that wanted to get the ball down and play. You make a great point there about it being about players bringing up moments. That there's been no like sustained period of oh my god, Villa are on a massive run. Villa were up so high where they were because Morgan Rogers was scoring from 20 yards every week.
yeah.
Like they've come back down to the mean of XG, and I won't mention XG again now because this isn't about the stats book. This is about the actual football we're watching. But Villa have just come kind of reverted to mean. They were getting away with moments of pure brilliance that was winning them games for so long. And now they're just coming back down to earth. Arsenal all season have been creating nothing, playing for corners. they're the only team that I see get away with actually pulling people down. That one against Chelsea where Rice handled it. Saliba has two arms around João Pedro, and João Pedro gets punched in the head by Raya. That's three penalties against any other team in the league, and they just seem to get away with it. And that brings it back to the inconsistencies in refereeing. Peter Banks last night is
Awful.
an absolute disgrace. Thomas Bramall, I think was his name, did Wolves and Liverpool. How he ever passes exams to be a Premier League referee is beyond me because he was abysmal for both teams as well. Michael Oliver used to be good. He's not anymore. Whatever's happened to him. I hate the sight of Anthony Taylor doing any sort of Liverpool match because I know something is going to go one way or the other that's going to lead to controversy. Jared Gillett came over from Australia with this big, massive reputation for being unbelievable. His last game went viral everywhere, the way he was speaking to players, the way he was dealing with the VAR, all that. It's like he comes over and just goes through that Men in Black thing that clears your memory. It's like he landed in England and was just like, okay, everything you learned as a referee in Australia is now gone. This is how we do it in England. And the protection they get from the chief spoofer of all of them, Howard Webb, when he goes on and says, "Oh, we're really sorry about this mistake. We are putting things in place to stop this happening again." Then why are we now nearly 30 games into the season and Arsenal keep getting away with dragging people around the place? I can't think of a single penalty given against Arsenal this season. I'm sure there probably has been one, but I can't think of a single one off the top of my head where Arsenal have conceded a penalty. Maybe they haven't conceded a penalty because they get away with everything in the box, holding people down. And then some of the goals they're scoring where Gabriel is literally using someone as a springboard and on their shoulders to hoist himself up to win a header against Chelsea for the first goal, and not a thing said. Any other team does it, it's ruled out. And I'm not going to say it's a big, massive conspiracy that they want Arsenal to win the league because I don't think that's it. I just think they're just so numb to like, oh, there's eight fouls there. Which one do I give? Oh, let's just give none and move on. Like I actually think it could be that where it's just like Arsenal have worn them down so much for what they're doing that they're like, oh, just get on with this. And especially when you take 90 seconds to get the ball into the box, the referees are just they're probably already running out to try and get play back up and going. They're not even watching what's happening because they're so sick of waiting for Arsenal to get ball back and play. David Raya's dive after João Pedro semi nudged him in the Chelsea game. It's one of the funniest clips I've ever seen. He takes three steps and then throws himself. I'm so surprised at what Harry Maguire did in that Palace game where he's pretending he got kicked in the head. I don't know where that came from with him. That
Yeah.
doesn't seem like his kind of player.
I
And
mean, I
at
wouldn't
first,
put that on Maguire because as a character trait, like,
oh no, I know I'm not. But like at first, I was like, oh, the ball just hurt him in the head. And then I saw the clip where he's like, to referee, that's twice now. That's twice. It's like he wasn't within 6 inches of your head. Like I don't know why you've done that. And is that him just trying to play up to the rules the way everything else is going? I said to you at the time, I thought it was a penalty, the Maxine Lacroix one. It's a bit of a dive from Cunha as well. He has his hand on his shoulder for a second. He goes down.
I
It
mean,
probably
he
is a
had. I
penalty.
mean, he had. It was the fact he brought it into the penalty into the box shows how aware the players are of these rules now.
Yeah.
Cunha was like, "I
That
need
oh,
to
there's
keep
no point
running
go
into the
down here.
box because otherwise I won't." But in fairness, Lacroix has a full hold of his jersey for a good 3 seconds.
But
So
he does outside the box, and then when Cunha gets into the box, it's like a brush on the shoulder. He's like, okay, now I can go down. I'm in the
yeah, he
box.
had it outside the box. If he went down
Yeah,
outside of the box, it's a free. It's still a red card. He's through on goal. So I
yeah,
think like that one that one shows me how aware the players are of the rules that they can't even play the game properly and go down when they're fouled. They have to wait until they're
yeah.
inside the box now.
And then Liverpool are just so on street smart towards it. Liverpool don't go down. Liverpool just keep running. When Yuka Ekitike against Wolves was literally having his jersey taken off his back, and he just keeps trying to run and get away from him. It's like, just stop. He's going to get booked instead of lashing out and potentially getting yourself a red card for swinging your arm back and catch him in the face because he's
Yeah,
tagging off your jersey. Just stop. Stop on the spot. You're getting the free kick anyway. You're not going to get away from him. He literally has his hand in your jersey. You're not going to get away from it.
yeah,
Liverpool are so stupid at it. Every other team in the league nearly seems to have worked out that the referees are so bad. If we do this, we'll get away with it. And again, that's what football has become, and I really don't like it. I'm going to the Markets Field tomorrow to watch Treaty, who haven't had a shot on target in 2 games, instead of staying at home to watch Liverpool because I just can't put myself through another 90 minutes of crap football. Well, Tuimas probably going to be crap football as well, but like
I
just go
mean,
up there and actually kind of like feel something instead of sitting there and waiting for something to happen. I'm so sick of how the season is. I actually can't wait for it to finish. And it's really bad because we do a football podcast, but I actually just can't wait for the season to be finished and see if they are able to do anything about what's going on in the summer then.
yeah, I mean, like you can still be honest about how you feel watching it, even though we do love the sport. And the fact of the Premier League is still so interesting because of the jeopardy around how anybody can beat anybody and what the positions that are still up for grabs. That's why it's interesting, not because of the football that's being played, but you should you should watch. I don't know. I wouldn't recommend a treaty the way they're playing, and
No.
it's not good for your heart either. I think you should stay at home and watch Ireland and Wales and the rugby. That'd be your best course of action.
Yeah, we'll see.
Um, but let's quick fire then through what we want to do something. We've talked a lot about football, so we'll just give our picks so we won't go too much into it. Let's try and do it in 60 seconds each. Go through our full Champions League bracket, and we'll go with the left side first, and then our right side, and then we'll give our winners. So let's try and do it 60 seconds each. I'll go ahead first, before the first round is starting next week. So PSG and Chelsea. I think PSG are going to have too much. Chelsea aren't consistent. Galatasaray and Liverpool. I would have picked Liverpool up until they played Wolves. I just don't trust that they can beat Galatasaray over two legs because Galatasaray score so many goals. City, Madrid. Madrid are having a wobbler. They're gone for me. City through. Bayern and Atalanta. Atalanta are solid, but they're missing that punch since they got rid of Lookman. So Munich, I think, are the best team in Europe right now, and they're cruising in the Bundesliga. So that's why I've got them through. PSG, Galatasaray then in the quarters. PSG all the way. Galatasaray won't get far enough. Won't be good enough to get this further than that. Bayern then against City. I've gone with Bayern. I do think that they are the best team in Europe, and they have such an easy run in the league that they'll be relaxed and being able to rest players in the league. And that's why I've gone with them beating PSG because they have Lons breathing down their neck in the French league.
Mad.
So they're my finalist. On the other side, then I've got Newcastle, Barcelona. I'm going with Barca. I think Newcastle are not going to be able to put up with the technical ability of Barcelona. Atletico against Spurs. Atletico don't really need to say anything there. Bodo Glimt against Sporting. I'm going with the Bodo Glimt story to continue. Get the win over Sporting, although they are a good team. I just think that Bodo Glimt are riding a high. Arsenal against Leverkusen. Arsenal will set piece their way through that and get into the quarters. Barcelona against Atleti. I'm going with Barca. I think that they did lose to Atleti 4-0 in the Copa del Rey, but then they pumped them 3-0 in the second leg. Wasn't enough. They'll get their revenge here. Arsenal against Bodo Glimt. I'm going with Arsenal. I think the Bodo Glimt story comes to an end. Although I would love to pick them, I just think Arsenal are just so savvy with set pieces, as we've talked about. Barca then are going to beat Arsenal in the semis for me. I think take away the set pieces and you kind of obviously see Barca as a better team. Arsenal are probably going to get a couple of set piece goals, but Barca do have good, strong defense and they're much better on the ball at creating chances. So I'm going to take them to take it. Bayern and then Barca in the final. Give me Bayern for all the reasons I outlined. I think they have a great run. I like what company has done. I like their squad. I think they'll be the freshest team going into this, and they're going to take down Barca in the final.
Yeah, I don't mind it. I don't think I'm too dissimilar to you either. I wanted to do two, one where Liverpool win it out, but I'm just going to leave that one to the side for the moment. I'm obviously going PSG to beat Chelsea. I'm going Liverpool to beat Galatasaray, so that's my first quarter final. I'm going with City to beat Madrid. Again, Madrid's just aren't very good at the moment. Arbeloa has come in there. He's done very, very little to kind of steady this ship. They're just not a very good team this year. They're picking up injuries left, right, and centre as well. Man City will get through that, and obviously Bayern will beat Atalanta. Um, so PSG against Liverpool, like my heart really says Liverpool get through this.
Replay of
So
last.
I'm going to go. I'm going to put Liverpool through, and I'm going to put Liverpool against Bayern in the quarterfinals. So Liverpool,
Semis.
Bayern. Yeah, Bayern. I just think they're like Harry Kane is a menace coming up against what Liverpool call as a defense at the moment. I just think Bayern will just have too much for Liverpool. So that's Bayern in my Is that Bayern? I think that's Bayern in the final for me as well. Well, it should be anyway. I might have skipped a set. But on the other side, then Barca do beat Newcastle. Atletico Spurs, I think, will be tighter than we think because this is the kind of game where the Spurs player are going to get up. They just don't do in the league because they think, oh, look, we're going to get a move out of here anyway. I don't really care. I want to win the Champions League. But they won't have enough for Atletico because, well, it's just Atletico, Simeone. Spurs just aren't actually a very good football team. Even if they do try, they're not getting through this. I'm putting Bodo Glimt through against Sporting as well. Nobody wants to go to Norway. And I might go there as a holiday, but I don't want to go there and play football anytime soon. And then obviously Arsenal are going to get through against Leverkusen. Barcelona go through and they face Arsenal, unfortunately, in the semi final. But I have Arsenal making it to the final and losing to Bayern Munich. Um, I think Barcelona against Arsenal is going to be one of those games where Barcelona want to play football, but they're just not allowed. It's going to be complete and utter terror ball from Arsenal. Just if you think they took a lot of time out of the game against Brighton, wait to see what they do when they're playing Barcelona in a first leg at the new camp. They're going to just kill the game. It's going to be an awful watch. But in the final, Bayern are just going to do them. So we both have Bayern winning, but I have Arsenal in the final, unfortunately.
Okay, I'm surprised you brought yourself to do that. So that was big of you, putting Arsenal all the way to the final.
Well, if I put Liverpool to win it, then I'd left Arsenal out. But I had to go with my actual head over my heart this time.
Yeah, fair enough. So those are our two brackets. Both got Bayern to win. Let's jump into Gan Seans. Okay, so last week we both had one win each. Both in our
We're both stinking.
yeah, we're in bad form at the moment. We at least we got wins this week rather than last week when we didn't get anything. But
Yeah.
both in the soccer, and we picked underdogs, bigger underdogs in those, I think. I had Everton away to Newcastle, which we talked about earlier. That got the win. But I had the Bucks to beat the Knicks and the Sixers to beat the Celtics. Both were losses. You had Wolves to beat Villa, which was massive. They got the win there, 2-0. Then you had the Cavs to beat the Pistons and the Nuggets to beat the Thunder. Both were overtime losses, so it was very, very close. So I'm 26 to 24 in the lead, 2 points up still. I'll throw it over to you to give your picks first.
Yeah, this is the week where you're getting 0 and I'm getting 2. The first one is Newcastle to beat City in the Cup. Newcastle are 9-4, City are evens. Newcastle, I know I've just absolutely honked them all over the place there about 5 minutes ago, but I just think in the Cup, Newcastle are going to want this more than City. City have the Carabao Cup final coming up soon. Champions League against Real Madrid, and they're still fighting for that Premier League title. I think they have to throw one in the bin, and I think it could be the FA Cup. I can see them making a good few changes. Again, they're playing Madrid the midweek after. This is a Sunday game, I think. I'm not 100% sure, but it's late on the Saturday, if anything, and then they're
Yeah,
playing
in
on
the
the
swing.
Wednesday. So they are going to have to make a couple of changes. So Newcastle get over the line there. Going with the Rockets to beat the Spurs. So the Rockets are 38 and 22. The Spurs are 44 and 17. I think they're actually quite evenly matched now. The Rockets are on a bit of a run of form at the moment, and they look like an actual semi-functioning basketball team. Reed Shepherd is on a really good run of form. He was absolutely incredible Sunday night as well. Hopefully he stays in the lineup, but we'll see. Madoka doesn't seem to want to leave him there. And finally, going with the Grizzlies at 23 and 38 to beat the Clippers, who are 30 and 31. These teams are so close in terms of where they are in the division, but obviously they're 7 games apart, but they're both on losing records. The Clippers are so up and down, same as the Grizzlies. Just it's one of those that if you don't back them now, you're never going to back them. So I'm going with the Grizzlies, Newcastle, and the Rockets.
Yeah, those Newcastle and Rockets picks were two that I looked at. And the only reason I didn't go with Newcastle is because they feel they have the Barca games coming up and they just may kind of be shut off a little bit. But yeah, it's a good point you make about City. I've gone with two really big underdogs. I've gone with Wrexham to beat Chelsea 21-4, Chelsea 21-50. 13 games they've played this year, Wrexham. They've won 9, drawn 2, and lost 2. One of the wins was on penalties against Forest, so they show they can do it against Premier League opposition. They're going to sit back and try and frustrate Chelsea, who also have big game coming up against PSG. So that's going to be on their minds. I've also got Norwich 6-1 away against Leeds 4-9. Norwich have been really disappointing this season, but in 2026 they've really turned it around. 13 games, same as Wrexham, but they have 10 wins, and they did beat Ipswich in the cup, who are going very strong in the championship right now. They also beat Wrexham and Coventry on that run, so they're in very good form right now. So I like them to go and grab a win against Leeds. And then last up, I'm going with the Jazz to beat the Bucks. The Jazz are 18-44, Bucks 26-35. Both teams tanking. The Bucks are too far away to get back into the play now, so they probably will tank even harder. And the Jazz have better players still. I saw that against the Sixers the other night. So I'm just going with the team that have better players on the court, but they're both tanking, so who knows what's going to happen. So those are my three there.
Yeah, I like the Wrexham one. I looked long and hard at that on Paddy Power's site, just staring at it like, am I this brave? And it turns out I'm not, but you are. I didn't realize they were on a form North on because I'd love to pick that, but I didn't look at them to see. I just knew they were having a crap season. They just lost Josh Sargent to Toronto
Yeah.
as well. I thought everything was falling apart, but clearly it's not. So yeah, hopefully, look, if one of us get a 5 pointer at this stage, I'll be happy for both of us. I don't care if it means I lose or if I get battered. We just need to have a 5 pointer before this season ends. I can't believe we haven't had one yet.
Yeah, one of us needs it for sure. We'll do quick fire NFL portion because next week the free agency, the legal tampering period is going to start on Wednesday. So we'll have a lot to talk about because there'll be a lot of news coming out then. But there is still some stuff coming out at the moment, and we want to talk through it. So we'll go through in order of when I'm going to just shout out the stuff that's happened since we last recorded, and if you have any thoughts on it. We'll start with the trade from the Lions. They traded David Montgomery to the Texans in exchange for a fourth rounder and a seventh rounder and offensive lineman Juice Scruggs. So I think the Texans are obviously trying to retool because Joe Mixon is clearly not right. Nick Chubb has passed it and Woody Marks is a backup. So they want their bell cow back. I don't know if Montgomery is good enough to do it behind this Texans O line. They'll definitely need to get some better players, but it's worth a punt for what they gave up, I think.
Yeah, I really like Dave Montgomery. I think he's a really, really good running back as he's shown over the last 2 or 3 years with the Lions in that 1-2 punch with Jameer Gibbs. So I think it's a good move for him to get back to being a running back one. But as you said, they need to strengthen the offensive line, or you might as well just send him back to the Lions because he won't be able to get anything going if he doesn't have any protection in front of him.
Yeah, 100%. Commanders released Marshawn Lattimore. That's not surprising, so nothing
No.
around there on that. The Jets franchise tag Brees Hall. The way he spoke after it seems like he's got a point to prove and doesn't want a long term contract. But I don't know. Really, would you even want it anyway? Considering how he's played lately, at least this will put a fire under him. I think to prove a point. I guess.
Yeah, 100%. I think he has to prove a point. He was since his rookie year, and I know he ended that with an ACL injury, so fair enough, but he has just not been the player. I said it a couple of times over the year that he's not been the player we expect him to be. As you said, this lights a fire under him. Either the Jets get an unbelievable season out of him and then they can discuss a contract, or they get a mediocre year again. They have more of an idea what they want and they can just say, okay, go give us a second rounder there, a second and a fourth from someone and just off you pop. So yeah, do you know what? It's a big year for him to see what kind of future he has in this league now.
Yeah, yeah. That's funny actually. When you said the Rockets, I just thought your two teams you support in the NFL and NBA are both like aircraft. That's kind of weird, but
Oh
anyway.
yeah. I actually never noticed, I never realized that either, to be honest. And the
But
Liverpool are a bird as well. They're based off the Liver bird, so three
okay,
things that
there
fly.
you go. Airborne. There's absolutely no correlation between mine, so no point.
Yeah.
Colts use the transition tag on Daniel Jones. Just in case you didn't know what that is,
Thank you,
basically
because I don't.
there's three types of tag. Franchise tag, you can sign the player. So basically there's two sorry, franchise tag is the
Hmm.
overarching name. So the first one is non-exclusive tag. This allows the player to sign an offer sheet with another team. The original team has the right to match the offer or receive two first round draft picks in compensation. So that's the one most teams use, is what the Jets used on Brees Hall, because nobody is going to go, I'll sign you, and then give the other team manages to get two first rounders. Like, they don't want to give someone else that advantage.
Yeah, I
Exclusive
think
tag,
all of these were non-exclusive.
yeah.
The Pickens, Pitts, Hall, and Dan Jones are all non-exclusive ones.
Yeah, they're all usually are. No, the Daniel Jones one isn't. It's transition tag. The
Oh,
others
sorry.
are all
Okay.
non-exclusive. But they usually are. Exclusive tag. That completely binds the player with his team. It doesn't allow him to sign with anyone else. You're going, we're signing you, and that's it. Leads to players not being happy, so it's not really ideal. Then the transition tag, which is really rare, is what the Colts used on Jones. It's like the non-exclusive, except it provides the original team to match the offer. But if they do not match it, they don't get the draft picks in return. So I don't know why the Colts did this. It's like they're trying to play 4D chess when they could just simply non-exclusive franchise tag him.
Mm.
And if someone does want to pay him, they go, okay, grand, we won't match that. We'll get the two first rounders. But then in this case, someone's gonna try and drive the price up for him. Then they have to pay him more, and then you don't get anything in return. So it doesn't seem smart on the Colts' point of view. It seems like they're just trying to be better than everyone else, but doing something that nobody else does. You'd think they would go, wait, why does nobody do this? There's a reason.
Yeah. I was literally, as you were explaining it, I was like, so they're just putting themselves in further trouble. And then you said what I was thinking. So, yeah, like I understand why they signed him back. I think he showed, like, I'm not going to say what he can be because I still think he's pretty poor, but he showed that he has running games and we can go and win 8-1 out of 9 games or something. But, like, I think it was 2 weeks ago I mentioned that he is absolutely guaranteed to get an injury, and it's just win, not if. So if a team comes in and says we'll give you 130 million, and he'll be like, okay, well now you have to offer me 130 million, or else I'm going there and you're getting nothing. Makes no sense in that world. Whereas, like, I think the Jets would be more than happy to get 2 first round picks for Brees Hall and move on. I just don't think any other team is going to come in and pick him up anyway. So I think he is. It's basically an exclusive tag because no one else is going to pay him. So they might as well kind of just do what they're doing and either keep him or get 2 first round picks.
Yeah, yeah, I agree with you and everything you said there. And I already went in on Jones's injury luck or injury history last week, so I won't go in on it again. But yeah, I agree with what you said about him there. And I think next up was Cardinals releasing Kyler Murray. We talked about that last week. We knew it was going to happen, and now he's fit to find his new home, which we discussed on last week's episode. So if you want to hear where we think he could end up, go back and give that one a listen. If you missed it, two more releases before we get into the big trades. We had the Patriots releasing Stephon Diggs. They're obviously going to look to move. Maybe they look to move on AJ Brown. Makes a lot of sense to go there and pair him with a young quarterback in Drake May. Diggs had seen the end of the line there. I think his attitude on the sideline in the Super Bowl played a big part in my point of his future there. I don't know whether that played a part in their decision, but he's gone. And Jonnu Smith released by the Steelers, which is not one bit surprising because Arthur Smith is gone and he's the guy who likes to keep him around.
Yeah, you said all there is to say on those two.
Yeah. So let's move into the two trades then. Two big trades. First up is the Rams. They went and made a massive splash. So they felt that in the what I really like about the Rams is when they see an issue, they go and fix it. They go, look, this is a big issue. We need to sort this out. So they saw in the playoffs how soft their secondary was against big receivers and how easy it was for them to give up yards. And they went and they traded for Trent McDuffie. So that's huge to get him from the Chiefs. They gave up the number 29 pick. They have two first rounders because they made that trade with Atlanta last season. So there was rumors that they could use one of them. They used one, the lesser one, gave it to the Chiefs, gave a fifth, a sixth, and a 2027 third round pick. So a good haul for the Chiefs who are looking to rebuild themselves. And the Rams get one of the best cornerbacks in the league and retool for another year where they probably do try and make the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I think it's one of those that it's a strange one that it makes sense to both teams. I don't think the Chiefs will miss him too much, even though he is, as you said, he is one of the best corners in the league. But I think, like, the Chiefs aren't stupid. The Chiefs wouldn't do this if they thought it was going to be a massive hole for him. And to get 4 picks, including 3 going into the season where they just had a really, really bad year, I think that's really good for him. Doesn't really affect the Rams so much. They still have a first rounder for next year, as you said. So it's not like they're throwing away their future just to get this one fella in. So it's one of the trades that I'd like to shake hands with both GMs and say, well done, lads. You've actually done really well here.
Yeah.
Um, McDuffie last year, 45 tackles, 18 assisted tackles, a sack, and an interception. So yeah, he had a really good year, and he's just going to go and really elevate this Rams team.
Yeah, he is. He's exactly what they needed. And I agree that you think with your point of thinking that both GMs did a great job, and surprisingly, it's two teams that do smart things and they
Yeah,
continue to do it. And the Chiefs are great at drafting, so now they have two first rounders this year.
yeah.
So watch out for how they rebuild. The last one is another trade that just went down before we started recording. It was the Bears giving DJ Moore over to the Bills. Bills making a massive splash. They're not messing around. They're getting the guy for Josh Allen, getting him as wide receiver one. They listened finally to all the talk from their fans and media saying that they didn't have a proper wide receiver one. They went and got one, and they gave the Bears a second rounder and a fifth rounder in the upcoming draft. So probably around what DJ Moore is worth, but it might have a massive upside for the Bills. They obviously believe that whoever they'd pick in the draft with a second rounder wouldn't be good enough. So you go and get a guy who's proven and has a lot of skills. And I like it. I like it a lot for the Bills. And I think the Bears, it's okay for them too. It's not they didn't get fleeced, but they probably could have got a little bit more.
Yeah, I think this is one of those things. So we said before the playoffs last year, sorry, not last year, the playoffs a couple of weeks back, that no matter who is at wide receiver for Josh Allen, he always seems to make it work. And it's always kind of been below par lads that are just, he just manages to drag him up to a level that is acceptable. If he drags DJ Moore up from any further than what he is, he's going to be one of the best receivers in the league with Josh Allen throwing to him. I think it's a really, really smart move from Buffalo to go and do this. As you said, they've been crying out for a wide receiver one for years. They finally have it. Some of the receivers they've had recently have been just abysmal on paper. And yes, they're getting catches left, right, and centre, but they should have beaten that Broncos team and gotten to a Super Bowl this year. This was the best chance they want to have. They've obviously decided to double down and they're going all in for it next year.
Yeah, yeah. So a lot of interesting stuff gone down. We'll be back again next week, but a whole lot more because it'll be
There's just two others. So Pickens and Kyle Pitts were both franchise tags as well. I think they're worth, but both worth a mention. Pitts especially kind of looks like the player everyone thought he was going to be coming out of the draft. So I think that's really smart. And obviously Pickens just had a really good year. I think they paid CD Lamb last year maybe, so they really needed to do something to hold on to Pickens as well.
yeah,
Outside of that, the Jets just being Jets, trading away Jermaine Johnson to give him back with Salah. And yeah, we'll leave it there.
yeah. Actually, the Pickens one slipped my mind. The Pitts one I didn't include because it was before the last episode, but I should have thrown it
Oh,
in
okay.
here. But the Pickens one, yeah, you're right to bring that up. Like I think it's a huge move, and it's intent from the Cowboys because they're going. We're still going to give you a lot of money, and you can work your way for a long term deal, but you're still getting paid massively. So they are respecting him in that regard, and if it works out, he'll stay there. But yeah, they could be interesting. It's Jerry Jones says they're going to make a lot of moves. He says a lot of things, but
Yeah.
let's see if
Are
he
you
follows through.
surprised that Kenneth Walker wasn't tagged?
Yeah, I am surprised, but I don't know what the relationship is like there. It seemed at the parade that it was a little bit sour when Schneider brought up that Walker was trying to negotiate with him. It was obviously meant as a joke, but Schneider was clearly drunk, and Walker didn't seem too happy with that. I don't know, does that play into it? But the Giants are pushing very hard for him apparently, and also the Giants were second in line to trade for Trent McDuffie, and they just didn't want to include additional picks outside of the first rounder. I think so. Yeah, looks like the Giants were really making a splash. They wanted to give a future first rounder for him, so they're pushing hard right now under Harbaugh
Okay.
for big players.
What does that mean for Scatterboo? 1-2
Well,
punch.
you're going to need a 1-2 punch. So,
Yeah,
especially after a big injury, I think you and the speed that Walker has, Scotabo doesn't have. So, I think they would be
yeah.
perfect.
Fair enough.
Let's wrap it then with the power rankings quickly. Last week I had the Pistons, Spurs, San Antonio Spurs, that is, Man City, Man United, OKC, and Arsenal. This week, some slight changes, but I still have all the same teams in there. I've got Pistons first overall. OKC move up one, move up a few, sorry, to second. I think we put them down because they were on a bad run of form, or for their standards, bad run, but they look really, really good still. And SGA is back, and they beat the Knicks, which the San Antonio Spurs did not. So that moves the San Antonio Spurs down one. So I've got three NBA teams at the top because the Premier League is not great at the moment, as we discussed. Then I've got Arsenal because they they're still at the top. They're stretching out their lead. Man City then in fifth, and Man United in sixth after that loss to Newcastle. They just cling on there because there's no one else really I saw good enough to bring in. So it's Pistons, OKC, Spurs, Arsenal, City, and Man United.
Yeah, solid. And last week I had Spurs, Pistons, City, Hornets, United, Arsenal, and I literally just realised when I was looking there that my six have actually stayed in the exact same order.
Oh, nice.
I think that might be the first time we've ever had literally no changes.
Yeah, that
Spurs
is.
stay top because they're 10-2 in their last 12. I had taken out the Pistons and brought in the Thunder, and then I looked at them and saw that they were on an 8-2 run in their last 10 as well. And it felt pretty harsh to drop a team who were on an 8-2 run.
And they just beat OKC too. So
Yeah, exactly. So it felt a bit harsh. If I had the Thunder in last week, they'd have stayed, but I didn't. I said I'd leave in the Pistons, and I thought the Thunder would come back in this week, but the Pistons, as we mentioned at the start of the episode, are still absolutely flying. I've left City at third, and they've 4 wins and a draw in their last five. The draw wasn't very good on Tuesday night, but they are still the closest challenger to Arteta Ball. The Hornets, 6 wins in a row. Sorry, but the Hornets I wanted to take out, not the Pistons. I was going to take the Hornets out for the Spurs, but then I saw they've won 6 in a row, so I kept
all
them
right,
in.
okay.
And then United and Arsenal are my 5 and 6, the same as they were last week. Arsenal are only in there because they have to be. They're not going to be above sixth unless they win the league. They're only there because they have to be. And United, if Liverpool didn't lose to Wolves, I'd have brought in Liverpool, but alas, let's wait till he gets to the Champions League final.
Yeah, makes it. All right, you have to sneak that in there, but makes it easier for me to edit the power rankings post. I don't have to add in any changes when I get up on social. So this is great. If we can keep it the exact same till the end of the season, that would be ideal.
No, Liverpool will be back in next week now when they win the FA Cup and batter Galatasaray and then beat Spurs.
Let's see how it goes. Right, another episode done. Absolutely jammed so much talking to that one. Like, we had so many topics that we went deep on. So I hope you enjoyed it. All the good stuff as usual. Liking and subscribing would be greatly appreciated, and leaving a 5-star review is also very much appreciated on Spotify if you have the time. If you made it this far, we appreciate you. Shane.
Yeah, thanks, lads. I won't keep you too long because we've already kept you long enough. There was a couple of rants in there today. So we'll see you back next week. Like, subscribe, road to 100,000, all the hits. Goodbye.
Nice one, lads.
Welcome back to another episode of Who's Got the Ball with Shane and James.